Mase and Camron. I've been getting a lot of requests to do this video about these two, and I knew that I needed to have it to you guys as soon as possible. I've covered Cam a lot in the past, but every time I told part of his story, I never really mentioned his relationship with Mase that much. This Behind the Beef series is really turning into something, with the first video being Lil Wayne versus Gilly the Kid, and the second one being Beanie versus Jadakiss. I don't want to do too much talking in a big fancy intro like I normally do, because this might be a long one, and there's just so many layers to this quote-unquote beef. Before I get more into the video though, I would first like to thank you guys for coming to see this, because you guys could be doing a million other things right now, but instead you're here with me, and I appreciate that. If you guys like the content, you guys should like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. I reply to a lot of the comments, and I love going through them and seeing what you guys think. Also, follow my Instagram too. That would be greatly appreciated. You guys can always reach out and just show me some love. It's all good. Also, let me know where you are tuning in from. Represent where you're from. Shout out to all my folks in Harlem that support me, because I know that it's quite a bit of y'all, and keep doing your thing. Comment down below who you want to potentially see next in this series. Also, I literally just got my wisdom teeth out not that long ago, and it still kind of hurts when I talk, and like my face is still like a little bit puffy, so this might sound like some Kanye through the wire stuff, so excuse me if I'm slurring or anything like that, because there's still parts of my mouth that I really can't move and form words correctly with. But without further ado, I give you Mase vs Camron, the story behind the beef. Before we get into the actual quote-unquote beef, let's start off with some quick backstories behind the two. Cam was born Cam'ron Giles in February of 1976, and he would grow up in Harlem, New York. Growing up, Cam was a hooper and played a lot of basketball. He was a very promising player, and in a 2009 interview with ESPN, Cam said, "Well, I grew up in New York City, Harlem, New York. I played ball for probably two of the biggest amateur basketball organizations in the city, one being the Gauchos, the other one being the Riverside Hawks. I went to Manhattan Center High School. I never graduated, but I came out of high school top 25 in the country in the class of 1994. I tried my hardest to look up if Cam was actually top 25, but I did manage to find this picture from a Slam magazine article about Cam. So I'm pretty sure that he's telling the truth. A bunch of people also have came out and said that Cam was indeed a real hooper back in the day. Him and Mase would hoop together though in high school at the Manhattan Center for Science and Mathematics. In 1992, the two helped bring the team all the way to the public schools athletic Class A championship at Madison Square Garden. Cam would infamously miss the last shot at the buzzer, which ultimately resulted in the team losing the game. This is the moment the beef started. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. This is not when it started. But in Cam'ron's movie KILLA season, he portrays this shot as the miss that changed everything for him. But in reality, he kept on hooping for both Riverside and Gauchos, and as a senior, he would lead the Manhattan Center to an undefeated regular season, but his team would get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. About this, Cam would say, "My senior year of high school, we went the whole season 24-0 and lost in the first round of the playoffs. When we lost, I was so devastated I didn't go back to school. I was just pissed off about it. So I ended up getting my GED, and the University of Miami put me onto the junior college in Texas, and I was supposed to transfer when I finished up at Navarro. This plan wouldn't go all the way through because Cam would get injured and then kicked out of the school. We'll get back to Cam's story later, but now let's get to Mase. Mase was born Mason Betha in Jacksonville, Florida in August of 1975. Eventually, Mase would end up moving to Harlem, but while he was in Harlem, he started to get involved in the street life, and his mother didn't like that, so she sent him back to Florida for a little while. Eventually, Mase would come back when he was a little older now, and he started to become a promising basketball player alongside Cam'ron at Manhattan Center, which I said a little earlier. Mase had dreams of someday joining the NBA, but he was unable to make it into a D1 college due to his bad academic scores. Mase ultimately attended State University of New York at Purchase. While he was there, he soon realized that he had a slim chance of actually making it into the NBA, and he really began to focus on music. Mase would start writing music, making demo tapes, and performing at local nightclubs. Mase would make his way back to Harlem, and now we'll skip back to when Cam'ron comes back into the fold and when he returns to Harlem. I'll play an old clip of audio of Cam'ron talking about what happened when he came back to Harlem and what happened with him and Mase. Keep in mind, this audio is from this interview I'm about to play, and this is from the late 90s.
Mase got put on over at Bad Boy. I got into some problems out in school. I used to go to a junior college in Texas. And then when I came back, Mase was like, yo, you start writing, I'll put you on again, you know what I'm saying? So then I started writing again. He took me over to Notorious B.I.G. house. And I rapped for Biggie, and Biggie was like, yo, you nice, you know what I'm saying? I want to put you on, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, yeah, definitely, you know what I'm saying? Of course, this B.I.G., I would love to be put on. So he called this partner, Rivera, up, like, I got this kid sitting in my house, I want to sign him. And Un was like, yo, I'll sign him, you know what I'm saying? He didn't even hear me rhyme, he just respected Big's opinion that much. But after Big passed away, Un got a new label called Entertainment, and he was like, he wanted to make me the first artist for the simple fact that Big wanted to sign me. And that's how I got down with Entertainment.
Now, I might add that I was reading an article from the Source magazine, and I guess they interviewed Cam, and he said that when he came back to Harlem, he noticed that Mase was acting different. Here is the exact quote Cam said. Now that I'm older, I kinda see the position Mase was in. This time, Mase was older than me and I was a little younger. I couldn't understand how he was moving. I didn't respect it. I just thought that should be mentioned because obviously Mase and Cam weren't full out beefing yet, but this was just the start of the silent tension between the two. But as you heard from Cam'ron himself, when Cam was in college, that's when Mase got put onto Bad Boy, and when Cam got back to Harlem, Mase told Cam that if he started writing again, that he would put him on. Also, there's some clarification. Children of the Corn, or Children of the Corner, was a rap group that consisted of Cam'ron or KILLA Cam, Mase or Murder Mase, Bloodshed, Big L, and Herb McGruff. Big L would start this group, but they ultimately disbanded later in the 90s, sometime after the death of Cam'ron's cousin, Bloodshed. Big L would tragically pass away some years later as well. RIP to both of them. But back to the story. With Mase and Cam, and Mase stuck true to his word because Cam would start writing for people in the industry. I think one of the most notable things we know Cam wrote at that time was Lil C's verse on the song Crush On You. In an interview, Cam said this: what happened was Entertainment CEO Lance Rivera gave Mase $30,000 to write 5 songs for Lil C's at that point, and Mase gave me $5,000 of the 30 to write 1 or 2 of the songs. I wrote the Crush On You song, and they ended up keeping it for a Lil Kim album, but it was really for Lil C's. The original Crush On You is all Lil C's. Lil Kim isn't even on the record. So Crush On You came out in 1996, I believe, and in 1997, Mase would drop his classic debut album, Harlem World, in October of that year. Harlem World would peak at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart, selling over 175,000 copies in the US, and at this point, Mase was pretty much a star. He already had a number 1 album that was his debut album. He had the lead single, Feel So Good, off of Harlem World, which would peak at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. The second single, What You Want, will peak at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the song Looking At Me, which peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. I guess I never realized how lit Mase was back then, but yeah, Mase was definitely that dude. That stuff I just listed is insane, especially for a debut album. This man had 3 singles that ended up being in the top 10. Mase and Cam would end up doing an episode of Rapcity together, and Cam would say that he was proud for Mase's success. I would also like to add that we all know that Biggie would pass in March of 1997, and this would now lead to Mase being positioned to step up and be a star of Bad Boy. And 1998 is when things started to get interesting between Cam and Mase. In July of 1998, Cam'ron would release his debut album, Confessions of Fire, and it would peak at number 6 on the Billboard 200, selling over 107,000 copies in its first week of release. This album would end up having 3 singles, but for now, we'll only be talking about 2, which are 357 and Horse and Carriage. Mase would end up appearing in Cam'ron's video for 357, in which Mase and Cam were pretty much running from cops together. Things would start to get different when it was time to shoot the video for Cam'ron's song Horse and Carriage. Mase, in an interview with Hot 97 all the way in 2004, will say that he was at the Hit Factory with Cam, which is a famous recording studio in New York, and he was doing the song Horse and Carriage with him. Mase would do the song, and then Mase said that he asked Cam to get paid for doing the video and the song with him. Mase said that he told Cam that he either gets the money or Mase was going to get the money, or they can split it. We'll touch more on this 2004 interview later, but yeah, this is when things really started to change between the two. I don't know if at the time people knew that there was tension between Mase and Cam, but while I was listening to one of the early interviews of Cam, he was asked why Mase didn't appear in the video, and he told the media that it was because of family business. Here's the clip.
Strikes me as weird is that Mase is not even, although he's on the song for Horse and Carriage, he's not in the video for that.
Yeah, Mase didn't come to the video because he had some family business to attend to, and family always comes before music at any time, you know what I'm saying? So whenever somebody asks me that, I understand it's a lot of fans that's out there that want to see Mase in the video, but remember, music is a business and family always comes first, so he had some family business to take care of, so that's why he didn't come to the video.
Now, I found this article from a Vibe magazine issue from 2002 when I was doing my research, and I saw DJ K Slay say something rather interesting. For those who don't know who he is, just do your research, legendary. But he said something that I never really put into perspective. He said Mase was at an all-time high then, and Mase not being in the Horse and Carriage video played a big part in preventing Cam'ron's first album from going where it was supposed to go. Comment down below what you think of this. Would Confessions of Fire did a little better if Mase actually appeared in the Horse and Carriage video? Just a question, because I would like to know what y'all think, but this will wrap up this segment of the video where I was pretty much focusing on the start of both Cam and Mase's career until where they initially started to have problems. Let's get into chapter 2. So now we're in 1999, and Mase would release his sophomore album Double Up in June of 1999, and it peaked at number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, selling 107,000 copies in its first week. A couple months before the album release though, Mase would announce his retirement from rap. Here's a clip of Mase calling into Funk Flex's show to announce it, and another clip where he goes into further detail about why he retired.
Mase is retiring from the rap game.
I do what make me happy. You know, a lot of people gonna say I'm crazy, I'm leaving money behind and a lot of things. But it's just, you know, how I feel in my heart. Once God puts something in your heart, you know, God talks to everybody different.
So you saying you don't want to make any more albums?
I don't want to make no records. I don't want to rap on no records. And I don't want to run no record companies.
I don't think people want that, Mase. You might be outvoted. What you gonna do?
If I'm outvoted, then I'm just outvoted. You know what I'm saying?
I told everyone before I started that I don't plan to be here for long. I plan to, use rap as a stepping stone. And I just wish people paid more attention to what I say, then it wouldn't hit them as a surprise.
So yeah, and if you paid close attention, Mase said that it was pretty much always evident he wasn't going to be in the rap game long because he aspired to do other things. One of those things just happened to be an ordained minister, and something I didn't touch on earlier was that when Mase was younger and he was acting up in Harlem, his mom sent him back to Florida. While he was back in Florida, he started attending church on a regular basis. Skip back to this point of the story, and now Mase was trying to be a pastor or ordained minister, whatever you want to call it. I'm just not gonna get into all that. But one of the two. At this point in 1999 though, Cam was still trying to rise in the music industry, but things weren't going all that well for him. After his debut album Confessions of Fire, Cam'ron's label Entertainment lost their deal with Epic Records, and now Cam was just on Epic. When Cam was on Epic, he started getting wise to the music business because a lady at Epic was putting him on game and telling him what the label wasn't doing for him. Cam would then go to Dame Dash, who he had known since about the age of like 13 years old, I believe. And actually, Dame used to manage Children of the Corn for a little while, fun fact. But Cam went to Dame, and Dame said that if Cam managed to get out of his deal with Epic, then he would give him one of his distributions. According to Cam'ron, he would go up to Epic pretty much every day with like 40 dudes to make people in there feel uncomfortable, and ultimately Cam was released. Before his release though, he dropped his sophomore album SDE, or Sports, Drugs, and Entertainment, in September of 2000. This album didn't do as well as his debut album did because this album would peak at number 14 on the Billboard 200, selling 73,000 copies in his first week. Cam has admitted that he was pretty much dead broke before signing with Rockefeller, and at this point, his debut album only went gold, and his second album didn't do so hot, so he was in an interesting position. In 2001 though, Cam would join Rockefeller, and in May of the following year, in 2002, Cam would release his third studio album, Come Home With Me, which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 chart with first week sales of 226,000 copies. Now Cam had his platinum album. On this album though, on the song Welcome to New York City, we got a bar that really stirred up some stuff with Cam going, "You get jammed with them jammers, blam with them blammers. Hot here, ask Mase, he ran to Atlanta." Now here's the thing behind this bar. I don't want to get too much into the street stuff and things of that nature, but there's rumors that the real reason why Mase left was because he quote unquote got ran out of Harlem. I've seen things saying that a man by the name of Baby Mane ran him out of Harlem, and that at one point there was a price on Mase's head and all these other things. I see people like Jim Jones and others really run with the Baby Mane thing, and like some people just thought that it was just getting too hot in the kitchen, so Mase left. I'm not saying that it's true, I'm just giving y'all what people have said. So in 2017, Cam would pop up at the Breakfast Club, and he would discuss his beef with Mase, and he would talk about a song that he did called It's KILLA off of his 2017 mixtape The Program. Cam explains that Mase played a man named Pop Lottie against Baby Mane, but he didn't want to go too in depth with that situation. Cam would talk about how Mase and Baby Mane will become friends throughout his rise to fame. Mase would end up allegedly having relations with Baby Mane's baby mama, and he ended up getting caught. Mase was at her house and Baby Mane showed up, so Mase had to end up calling Cam. Cam came over to help Mase out, and Mase only gave Cam $100 for it, so Cam felt disrespected. Mase raps about this situation on his song Jealous Guy off of Harlem World, where he would say the lyrics, "Now would you be mad if I gave back your girl, or would it still be a problem with the entire Harlem world? At first you were singing that she was your ex, but you was ready to kill me when you found out we had sex. When I came and told you the deal, you wouldn't admit how you feel. Now you know your girl loved me. Why can't you just let it be? Just let it be." So yeah, there's a little bit more on the situation, and I'll put some stuff in the description where you guys can read up on it and stuff like that. Cam would appear on an episode of Rapcity The Basement, and he was asked why he said that line on the song Welcome to New York City, and in response, Cam thanked Mase for what he had done for him, and then he goes into how he thought Mase left a lot of people in a fishbowl in Harlem. He said that he signed a deal and had a group called Harlem World, and Cam and others didn't appreciate what Mase was talking about in his book because Mase was quote unquote putting people's business in the street. One name he mentioned in the book just got out of jail at the time, and Cam was saying, if that's your man, then why wasn't Mase checking for him? And then asked where the proceeds from the book was going. Now the book Cam was probably referring to was Revelations, There's a Light After the Lime, which Mase released in 2003. From what I saw from my research, that Rapcity episode was from 2003 because that's the episode where Cam and Dipset were freestyling and Cam was counting out the money. But yeah, as you can see, the beef or like rift was far beyond music. Now the year is 2004 and Mase would come back to rap with a few features on songs, but he would ultimately drop his album Welcome Back, in which he released in August of 2004. That album would debut at number 4 on the Billboard 200 chart, selling 188,000 copies in its first week. Things would be different with this album because now things were pretty much the opposite before he left. When Mase initially left, Cam was still on the come up and Mase was at his peak. Now Mase was coming back and he still was doing good and his album did well, but now Cam was a star in his own right and doing his thing. Some people do know that in that same year, Cam would drop Purple Haze and that didn't do like number wise like as well as his first album on Rockefeller or Mase's comeback album, but I think people just mainly pin that to the delays, the marketing of the album, and just a bunch of little other things. He literally proved that it was just those things when he would release the album KILLA Season, but we're getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves. In 2004, we have the infamous argument between Mase, Jim Jones, and Cam'ron on Hot 97. Mase would end up having a convo with Jim Jones, which resulted in Mase being calm and Jim Jones spazzing out, talking about the book Mase wrote, and he would say the reason why Mase left Harlem was because of Baby Mane and Pop Lottie. Then some minutes later, Cam got on the phone and said Mase never talked about splitting the money when it came to the Horse and Carriage record, and that previous to that interview, Mase wanted to do an album with Camron. There's also a whole bunch of other stuff in the interview, but just look it up. It's really entertaining, I must say, especially Jim Jones' part. But yeah, but Cam later in 2004 will release Purple Haze, and he has a song on there called Take 'Em to Church, where he's pretty much talking about Mase being a preacher and just false preaching basically, and he was using religion to hustle people. That's the best way I can break it down. 2005 though would be an interesting year in Mase's career because he was now really messing around with G-Unit and 50 Cent. Now a misconception some people have with Mase was that he was actually signed to G-Unit, which was actually not true because Mase still had obligations with Bad Boy. I can admit it did look like he was because he appeared in videos with 50 Cent, did songs with G-Unit, he was on the cover of magazines with G-Unit, along with other things. It's kind of a mess why he didn't officially sign with G-Unit, but basically Diddy wanted 50 Cent to pay $2 million for Mase and 50 wasn't going for it. Now a quote that is like, it's kind of funny but savage, but 50 said this about the Mase situation in the interview. 50 would say, I was like, what you looking for that? He said 2 million. I'm like, Mase ain't worth 2 million with 2 million in his pocket. Are you crazy? This is right before we went on that G-Unit tour. The principle is more important. He was $1 million over what Depp was supposed to make. He could have made $1 million out of it, but he's saying 2 million. We could have did it for the $1 million. He could have got that back. Jesus, like that was pretty savage, but but the weird thing about this comeback though with Mase especially was when he was with G-Unit was some of his subject matter. When Mase was with G-Unit, like this kind of like Murder Mase persona, I would say, like came back, and it was like confusing to a lot of people because he was a pastor or like whatever, but now he's rapping about violence again and things of that nature. Like put in the comments how you felt about Mase's comeback and his time with G-Unit when he was doing this stuff. Also, yo, I just added this part into this video that wasn't in the original script, and I just found a piece of an interview Cam did in a XXL magazine in 2006 where Cam pretty much says that he'll never talk to Mase again. He said previous to that interview, he ran into Mase in Miami, and he has a picture with Mase in a back like cook crack shirt with the Purple Haze CD signing it, and there's a song on that CD dissing him, like. But anyways, let's get back to the initial script. Now at this point, things were getting messy with both Mase and Cam. They were both tied into a lot of different beefs and feuds besides the two obviously going at it. I mean, like, most notably, I mean, Cam was going at like Nas, Jay-Z, 50 Cent, like Mase. You know, Mase had his little thing with Loon, Fabulous, and others. I mean, like, obviously, I'm not gonna say like every single person that they were beefing with or had a problem with, but I just wanted to put those things out there to just say what a mess they were both wrapped in around that time. Also, that reminds me that I never really got into the situation Mase had with Jay-Z and Rockefeller, but that's a story for a whole other day. You see, there was just so much stuff that like leads to stuff that leads to stuff. Like, it's just insane, and I can't always talk about it in one video. Anyways, though, I couldn't find anything really crazy to talk about throughout the years dealing between the situation with Mase and Cam. Mase kind of faded back out of the music industry and returned to being a pastor, and Cam was still doing his thing with music along with other ventures. The thing that really set this Cam and Mase thing back off is when Cam released his 2017 mixtape The Program, and on the intro song he would tell the story I said earlier where Cam would save Mase and hand him $100. Pretty much 2 weeks later, Mase would respond with The Oracle, and many of y'all know, like, I'm a big Cam fan, but man, like, he got cooked. Like, Cam got cooked. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, barbecue chicken out there, like. But man, like, Mase was not playing around, and this track was crazy. Some of the takeaways from this track is that Mase alleges that Dame Dash told Cam to beef with him. Basically, in a verified annotation of The Oracle on Genius, Mase would say, "When I came back with Welcome Back, Dame ran up to me like, why don't you and Cam just beef?" I was like, beef? Why would we beef? It was the weirdest thing I ever heard. He was like, why don't you and Cam just beef? It'll stay on record. It'll stay on wax. That's why every time I would hear him say something, I wouldn't say nothing back because I knew it wasn't real. Every time they would say something, I would see them and it wasn't no problem. If every time I see you, there's no problem, then why do you keep talking about it? It's 20 years old. Mase talked about how Taxstone accused Cam'ron of being a snitch, how Cam smashed his own sister. He talked about Cam's IBS, Cam's incident at Rucker Park, talked about Cam's situation with True Life, accused Cam of moving to Orlando because of the 50 Cent feud, accused Cam of robbing Joel Santana, and said that Cam has his name tatted on him, along with other things. Jesus, like, that's a lot of just wild stuff to comprehend. And Cam will reply with the song Dinner Time a day later. Now, this track is rather disappointing to me, mainly because like, it's not mixed, literally, like, at all. It's not mixed. Cam explains that he was on tour at the time and just simply put it out, but he got a bag for it. The song is one thing, but let's look at the bars he would say. Cam would say that he doesn't have a sister, but he smashed Mase's sister, talked about how Mase got screwed over by Diddy, talked about how Mase isn't from Harlem, how Cam used to give his clothes to Mase back in the day because he was bummy, how Mase becoming a pastor was about the money along with some other things. In reality, I don't think Cam knew Mase was going to snap like that, and I felt like he responded too quick and should have definitely at least mastered the track. A couple days after the Cam response track, he went on the Breakfast Club and denied a lot of the stuff that was in Mase's song. Cam would say in his own words that he's never dissed Mase, and that he didn't mess with Mase because he was playing with God and taking people's money while saying rap is the devil, but coming back to rap because he was allegedly broke along with other things. Cam would deny that he had a sister and that he did indeed smash Mase's sister, said that Dame never sent him to go at Mase, said that people were mad at Mase for mentioning HUD 6 in the song, and more. I forgot to mention that after the Oracle, Mase and Cam would go at it online, but another thing I wanted to talk about is when Mase would show up at the Angie Martinez show in December of 2017. This interview is an hour and a half long, so it'll be hard to discuss every single thing he said, but some noteworthy things to bring up is that Mase said that if this thing between Cam and him didn't end, that it was going to get bad for Cam. Says that he stood by every line in that song besides the HUD 6 line because he wished that he said that differently. Says that Dame did try to get him and Cam to beef, and said that Cam has a problem with authority and being second, noting Cam beefing with him, Jay-Z, and Jim Jones when Jimmy was blowing up, etc. And that he felt like Cam was constantly interjecting himself into Mase's numerous paths in life to deter him from where he was trying to go in life. Mase brought up something interesting because he said that growing up he was very poor and that he did share clothes with Cam because Cam was the fresh dude. Cam was the All-American in basketball and he wasn't, but things changed when Mase got big in the rap game because now Mase was that guy, and now Cam, prior to him exploding on the Rock, was trying to be that guy, and it wasn't really working out. Now after this, I mean, like, there hasn't been a whole lot that has happened between the two. I see Mase say something like him and Cam shook hands or something like that, but he won unanimously. But yeah, I mean, there's not much else that I can really I feel like I can really say about this like y'all don't know about in present day, because there's a lot of events in this beef, but they all really took place in the past before I was even born. But I'm about to get into the last part of the video while I'll wrap it up for you guys. In conclusion, I'm low-key glad that I did this video, not because I like discussing beef or anything, but because this video actually gave me a newfound appreciation for Mase. Before this video, I mean, I obviously knew who he was and I knew that he was popping back in the day, but I didn't know to what extent that he was and how a lot of people ran with his style and the things that he accomplished in the short span that he did. I mean, he's a big reason why Bad Boy stayed afloat after Biggie died, because some people back then maybe thought that it was curtains for them, but Mase some months later would drop Harlem World and really spearhead the label. But like I said, I'm going to link you guys to an article on the Pop Lottie Baby Mane thing, because yeah, it involves the All Out chains getting snatched and yeah, like a lot of the other stuff that I mentioned. Also, there are so many other videos about the Mase and Cam thing, so definitely look those up if you're more interested in learning about them. All in all, what do you guys think of the Mase and Cam situation? Make sure to tell me in the comment section below what you think. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.